What's incredible about news lately is it basically writes itself. I couldn't make up these scripts if I tried. I don't know if you saw what happened over the last 24 hours involving, well, these two guys. Caught in a compromised position would be an understatement. And then it gets aired, but nobody really puts the pieces together. Until now. I'll give you all what happened. I'll give you the backstory. And I'll give you the irony of what it all means to the man behind them. And exactly why he's going to continue to roll forward. Because the two guys in front of him have no way of stopping him. As a matter of fact, all they do is continue to embarrass themselves. And that's the story I'll bring you in 1 minute. Uh-oh. You know what? I'm going to start with J.B. Pritzker. It's going to be a big story. Of course, I'm saying that a little tongue-in-cheek, but you know the man has a problem ever telling the truth, right? Well, Bret Baier calls him out on it because he has trouble with facts. Not Bret Baier. No, JB himself.
Does Chicago have the highest murder rate of all the big cities?
Well, we are not in the top 30 in terms of our murder rate. Indeed,
well,
our murder rate it has been cut in half over the last 4 years, and every year it's gone down by double digits. And if you look at all of the violent crime over the last 4 years,
here's a map.
They've all gone down.
U.S. cities, 17.47 per 100,000 population. Chicago is number one over Philadelphia, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Phoenix, Los Angeles, New York, and San Diego.
It's one thing Democrats hate: facts. Figures. So much for not being in the top, huh, JB? At least Bret Baier did his job. I'll give him that. Can't argue about that, can you? Oh, but we cut it in half. I put more police on the street. But lately with the Dems, it's just been lie after lie after lie. And they're losing their partners in crime because the mainstream media is so apparently obvious now with their lies that everybody's calling him out on it. Look at here. Adam Schiff, you remember. Criminal probe has stalled, according to NBC News. MSNBC coming out, Ken Donnellan, the federal prosecutor in charge of investigating whether Senator Adam Schiff should be charged with mortgage fraud, recently told her bosses in Washington she did not think the case was strong enough to move forward. And then you have it. Two sources familiar with the matter told MSNBC. Todd Blanche didn't take that sitting down. Can you ask your two sources for more info? Excited to hear more about this made-up meeting. Also, unequivocally, U.S. Attorney Hayes has told me no such thing. Love your made-up story. And we're not going to sit back and take it anymore. What I love about the administration is all they're doing is just simply calling people out. Before, that would have been allowed. Actually, before, the mainstream media would have been allowed to propagate these lies. And everybody else would have just consumed it because the administrations prior would have loved it. Because they always backed up their lies. This administration doesn't allow it to happen anymore. Just imagine, though, how many people were brainwashed when you have an administration and the mainstream media on the same side propagating the same set of lies. And then they looked at us like we were stupid. We were the ones not telling the truth the entire time, but now it's become apparently obvious we always were the ones telling the truth. So much so now that even Bernie Sanders has to come out and this was shocking to me, to actually admit a truth I didn't think he would ever admit.
If you don't have any borders, then you don't have a nation, right? In a sense. So has historically the United States done well under Democrats and Republicans in protecting the border? The answer is no. Trump did a better job. I don't like Trump, but we should have a secure border. And
if you don't have secure borders, you don't have a nation. That was Bernie Sanders stating that. And he actually just said that Trump did a better job. I think hell just froze over. But it's hard. You can't escape the truth anymore. The administration's just doing too good of a job. And when the administration continues to roll forward and do such a good job, oh, sorry, should not have advanced forward so quickly. What do you do if got to look away from the screen for a moment. What do you do when the administration does such a good job? You lie. It's the only option they have. They have nothing left in their playbook. They have no policy. They have no principle. And so they start making up stuff. Just like SNAP benefits, which we talked about, would run out. Now, anyone would know that the Democrats are the ones holding this continuing resolution hostage right now. But when these SNAP benefits run out and you want a rise up in the streets, who are you going to blame for it? Well, Senator Booker gives you the answer, doesn't he?
So stop scrolling because this will shock you. Right now, the Trump administration has sent out notices to every single state, including New Jersey, that they are going to stop paying SNAP payments. Now look, they have billions of dollars at their behest to pay SNAP, but they're saying
Billions of dollars at their behest. You guys are still collecting paychecks. You don't want to pay federal workers, but you'll collect your paychecks. But now the Trump administration's to blame if staff benefits don't get paid, although you're the ones holding the continuing resolution hostage so that you can help to fund those here illegally so that they have health care. But this is the Trump administration's fault. And people normally would just accept that because the mainstream media would be helping to support the argument. But your argument doesn't exist anymore. It's fallen apart. You're an embarrassment. Your position's compromised. So what do? You double and you triple down into the lies. So much so that I played this clip for you yesterday. Remember this one.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leverage times we have.
So saying the quiet part out loud, you remember me playing for that for you yesterday. Pretty clean cut. Of course, there will be families that are going to suffer. We understand that. But it's one of the few leverage times we have, which would say that you understand people who get SNAP benefits are going to suffer. We get it. But we as Democrats understand it's the only leverage time we have, so we're going to continue forward. Pretty simple to admit, no matter what Cory Booker says. But then the next day when you're questioned on that very statement, this is why I say double and triple down on lies. What do you say when questioned on that very statement?
Levitt is looking especially at that last bit you said there, saying that Democrats, quote, are now admitting that they are intentionally causing American families to suffer with their reckless government shutdown. What's your response to that?
Well, that is right out of her playbook of half-truths, taking things out of context.
Do you think Levitt took that out of context? Did you take it out of context? Did I take it out of context? I don't know how you take that out of context. How can one party so consistently along all its members continue to tell non-truths as if it's normalcy? Well, they were very comfortable because normally the person on the other side of the screen, the mainstream media personality, was in support of them. So it was very comfortable to continue to tell lies because you were never going to be challenged. And when you're not challenged, just imagine the inaccuracies and falsehoods that continue to spew out. And we haven't even gotten to the compromised position of Hakeem Jeffries and Chucky Schumer yet, have we? Oh, you see, these boys, they can't even help themselves anymore. And now they just put stuff out there that you can't tuck away. And we found it. And we'll play it for you. Because the hypocrisy just begins. Because the documents come out. How Trump is using the DOJ as his personal law firm. How Trump is weaponizing the DOJ. How the Trump administration is using all arms of the government to attack his political enemies. You should have gotten rid of one document, folks. The Kash Patel just turned over. I'll read it for you in 1 minute. How many of you know who that beautiful woman is there? That's the woman I have the privilege of calling my wife. The woman who we created the platform you're looking at there called RestrictedRepublic.com many, many years ago. Some people call MSNBC their news, some call CNN their news, some call Fox News their news. Many others call restrictedrepublic.com their news, which is the platform Lisa Haven and myself created for you. Difference there is there's no commercials, there's no interruptions. We're beholden to no one but you, our audience. It's why we created it the way we did. There's no censorship. We could say whatever the hell we want to say because we own the platform. We own the framework. We own everything involved with it. We'd love you there today. There's a reason we created it, because there's news that we have to adhere to. There's formats we have to adhere to on the public platforms. There we have to adhere to nothing. And because of that, that news network has grown exponentially. It would mean the world to me. You know, I carry on my podcast over there almost daily. This week's been a little bit different. To be honest, I haven't been feeling 100%. You probably hear it in my voice. I've been fighting through the entire week. So some of my podcasts have not extended because I've just been trying to get out my primary broadcast. Starting next week, I'll begin to carry on almost every broadcast to its extended version at Restricted Republic. So I wanted to give you a disclaimer as to why that was going on this week. And to watch that podcast and its full-length version, on top of the exclusive content, on top of some of the live broadcasts we do together, we'd love you to get there today. RestrictedRepublic.com. Monthly and annual subscriptions available. We give you 14 days for free to go ahead and check the platform. You have your own dashboard available to cancel anytime. We'd love you to get there. That is RestrictedRepublic.com. While you're here at the public platform, you've helped this channel to explode. Another bombshell video yesterday. And how did you do that? By subscribing. So many new members, another 1,000 joining yesterday. Thank you so very much, because it shows that my news matters to you. By commenting, by sharing, by joining as a member on the public platforms, by making sure your bell is checked to all. Truly makes the difference. And I want to thank each and every one of you for that, because it shows that these efforts make a difference. And hence, we roll forward even when we're not feeling 100%, because nothing stops the news, just like nothing stops this story. Get to RestrictedRepublic.com today, please. I'd love to see you there. I want to see your name pop up on the subscribe list, because every single email hits my email. And it's a great way to communicate with the family there. It's a little different than the public platforms. I'll see you there in a few minutes. But now let's get back to this broadcast. So remember how Trump is using the DOJ as his personal law firm, or presidents can't use the Justice Department as their personal law enforcement agency, or Trump has broken the Justice Department, or Trump is poised to turn the DOJ into his personal law firm, and Trump is weaponizing the government against his enemies. It doesn't mean he'll succeed. Well, that would be fine and dandy if Trump was the only one doing that. He should have gotten rid of a document, though. Really should have, because you know Chuck Grassley and Johnson's done a great job releasing information on Arctic frost. The illegal investigation, I would claim, against Trump and many in his circle. And so they subpoenaed phone records, as you remember me showing you, of Graham and Haggerty and Hawley and Sullivan and Tuberville and Johnson, Loomis, Blackburn. You know, that's okay. Because on top of that, there was millions of other phone records subpoenaed as part of Arctic frost. But maybe that was just a one-off, right? Maybe Jack Smith did that all on his own. Maybe it wasn't a weaponization of government at all. Maybe he was just a rogue agent. Nope. Because documents are very inconvenient. This was released by Kash Patel, found from and signed by Christopher Wray on 4/5/2022. I'm looking for your signature, my Department of Justice, to open a certain sensitive investigative matter, aka Arctic frost. Your approval is requested as soon as possible due to the nature and issue pursuant to the DOJ guidance. WFO may not open this full investigation without your authorization. Now, what if the FBI, the DOJ, we're all working together in collusion against Trump? Would that be considered going against your political opposition? We'd have to go further to find that out, because you would then need the Attorney General, potentially, signing off on a document like this. So we'll go forward. into the memorandum. This was all about the 2020 fraudulent certificates of elector votes that were sent to Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Wisconsin, according to what they wrote here. But remember, you need the signature of the Attorney General to really bring this all together. You all already have Christopher Wray's, but that could never happen. There would never be a document that has both Lisa Monaco's signature and Merrick Garland's signature on top of Chris Wray's signature. Wow. So much for everyone calling Trump that he's weaponizing the government. And so many come out afterwards. Kash Patel, today we handed over important documentation showing weaponization and politicization at the highest levels of government. We're proud to work with Chairman Grassley and Senator Johnson on this critical oversight to restore one tier of justice and the transparency the American people deserve. Arctic frost was a stain on this country. That weaponization ends under this FBI. Or Catherine Heritage. Approval came from the top. Biden administration, A.G. Garland, his deputy, Lisa Monaco, and then Director Christopher Wray physically signed off on an FBI probe codenamed Arctic Frost. The records, via Chuck Grassley, show authorization based on limited detail and basis, including open source media reporting. It's like Steele Dossier 2.0, because they had nothing. But they launched a probe anyway. And you're the ones who want to claim that Trump is weaponizing the government. Gosh, truth always ends up hurting the Democrats. The truth that Nancy Pelosi is now threatening ICE agents. Pelosi says police may arrest federal agents who violate California law, and she thought she would just get away with that. The San Francisco district attorney said in an interview that she came up with the strategy after seeing federal agents repeatedly roughing up people in Los Angeles and Chicago. Clear excess use of force on anti-ICE protesters, and so you should arrest them, and you should use force against them, Nancy Pelosi stating. Until she gets this letter. Well, Gavin Newsom gets it. Rob Bonta gets it. Nancy Pelosi gets it. From Todd Blanche. California politicians want to arrest federal agents for enforcing federal law. We just sent them a letter. Stand down or face prosecution. No one threatens our agents. No one will stop us from making America safe again. You see, it's a different era now. You no longer get to allow to just drop idle threats on people who are simply enforcing the laws of this great republic of the United States of America. You no longer are simply allowed to lie without repercussions. The repercussions are us calling you out. Did you hear this exchange between Mike Johnson and the response of Hakeem Jeffries? Hakeem Jeffries finds himself in another compromised position, along with Chucky Schumer here shortly. Listen to what Mike Johnson said, and then listen to Hakeem Jeffries' reply.
We're not going to allow Chuck Schumer to play selfish political games and hold the American people hostage. We will not negotiate with legislative terrorists. We're not going to let them do that. We can't. We owe it to the people to get this government operating again.
Well, that type of language is reckless, it's irresponsible, and it's going to get someone killed. What do these folks not understand as it relates to the language that they continue?
In what reality can Hakeem Jeffries state and call out someone for rhetoric and language being used? Does he even No. There's nothing left firing in that head anymore. Nothing left firing whatsoever.
What Donald Trump has been doing since day one of his presidency, running the largest pay-to-play scheme in the history of the country, and probably soliciting donations from people who've got business before the United States government. And all of this is going to have to be investigated. It will. All of this will have to be uncovered. It will. And these people are going to be held accountable no matter how long it takes. That's going to be the reality of the situation. And that's our warning to all of these people participating.
Yep. So you're just one who just said Mike Johnson was threatening, but I guess that's not a threat based on lies, mind you, because you were lying, Hakeem. this has no impact on taxpayer dollars, you do recall that it's being funded by President Trump, personal money, right? Unless you're stating that you're due that personal money and they're not allowed to spend the money on what they choose. That would probably go with your party, though, and your socialist principles, which I would understand, at least in your sick thinking. You see, you cannot continue to allow yourself to be so compromised. Because remember, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And you guys continue to fall over each other. Because it all, I guess, involves this East Wing argument now, doesn't it? Because you and Chucky Schumer continue to find yourself in compromised positions because you have no position you stand on. You lie to the American public. You deceive. Levitt, at this moment in time, the ballroom is really the president's main priority. You took that snippet, Chucky, and you say, honestly, you can't make this shit up. It's Chucky Schumer. Trying to imply, of course, that the number one priority in the world for the president is this ballroom. Of course, anyone who listened to the clip would understand that, well, let's listen in for a moment.
Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you. Thank you.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden
I'm going
patio,
into the back. Sorry. Go ahead.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden patio, is the president looking at any other renovations or significant kind of projects here at the White House?
Not to my knowledge, no. But he's a builder at heart, clearly, and so his heart and his mind is always churning about how to improve things here on the White House grounds. But at this moment in time, of course, the ballroom is really the president's main priority.
Pretty clean cut, huh? As it relates to construction projects at the White House, the ballroom is his number one priority. The White House calls him out. You're a scumbag and liar, Chuck. But everyone already knows that. She was answering a question specifically about construction projects on the White House grounds. We'll lay it so even your demented mind can comprehend. I love when they call people out. But it's far simpler than that. Because the Democrats are going crazy over this East Wing. And why? Because they have nothing else to talk about. They're just trying to cover for the fact that they're keeping the government shut down. Here, Chris Murphy.
And other people, there was really something visceral about those images that landed. I wonder if you or other colleagues or other people you're talking to have had that same reaction.
No, listen, there's a lot of history that has taken place in the East Wing, and it was just destroyed without any conversation in the American public, without any consent of Congress. It was absolutely illegal. And
that's enough. That's enough. Senator Chris Murphy, there's something that we do on a day-to-day basis, which is called research. And I know it's very difficult for you in the Senate. You may not have time or acumen or ability to do such. Because if you did, you'd realize these statements, well, they're not so smart. You know, Hillary Clinton, it's not his house, it's your house, and he's destroying it. Monica Lewinsky much? Because your husband didn't desecrate it at all, but I'll let that go for a moment. This is Trump's presidency in a single photo, illegal, destructive, and not helping you, Elizabeth Warren. I love this illegal line, huh? If you look at what they're destroying there, there's a, by the way, that's a driveway overpass, but nonetheless, I digress. Near at hand, and I genuinely think the image of them destroying the East Wing of the White House could be a game changer. Oh, so remodeling is now the game changer in elections, because again, you stand for nothing. They just put it out there for everybody to see. I'm just putting it in context for you. Well, I'm not done yet. You didn't think I was done with him, did you yet? Because Hakeem is so confused right now that now he tries to tie in everything into this remodel. Everything. From no kings to the budget to the remodel, I think to even taxes. This is a parody. This should be a Saturday Night Live skit. But Dollar Store Obama, he ain't done yet. And he got more to say. I can't even believe I couldn't make this up if I scripted this for him.
Donald Trump is once again preparing to fly out of the country. The East Wing of the White House is being demolished so that Donald Trump can construct a ballroom where he will be celebrated like a king. And at the same time, Trump is trying to rob taxpayers of $230 million to continue to line his pockets. And yet Republicans have zero interest, none, in addressing the healthcare crisis that they've created, is devastating people all across the country.
He can't help himself anymore. He's lost. I'm actually starting to feel bad for him at this point. He's a lost puppy who simply now is just the only guy who they throw in front of the camera. Like, is there anybody here? Hey, Hakeem, come here real quick. We need you. Son of a gun. Okay, hold on. I got this. President Trump is trying to fly out of the country while he's stealing $230 million while there's a healthcare crisis going on. Dude, this is Democrat Party. So let me put it in perspective for you. Not if the truth was actually told instead of a typical Democrat lies. There's where the demolition work is being carried out. A lot of people don't get to see this graphic. It's the East Wing, not the West Wing, not the White House residence. It is the East Wing. If you notice the part that's circled there, and you look closely, you notice there's a driveway going underneath it, which they are tapping into. Yes, you'll have to go into the main structure if you want to tie in a ballroom. The reason they're tying in a ballroom is currently the largest place they can seat people within the White House is approximately 79 people inside with tables. 79 people. The Great Republic of the United States of America, when hosting foreign dignitaries, can only hold 79 people without putting tables outside. That's embarrassing. You need to hold more people than that. The ballroom will allow for that. Not a bad idea. Not really at all. But to make matters worse, Trump's not the only one to do this, but the Democrats won't tell you that, of course. First, where they're doing the construction, and then to understand that Teddy Roosevelt built the entire West Wing. Taft made the executive office oval. FDR added the entire East Wing and included an indoor pool for himself. Truman gutted the entire White House. Nixon added a bowling alley. Obama added a basketball court. And Trump is building a ballroom. Not for himself. Because by the time it's done, he really won't have that much time left in it. No, it's for future presidents, so they can have foreign dignitaries. Imagine this, he is spending his own money, or private money, for a room that he really won't have time to use. So the future presidents have a place to house foreign dignitaries and meetings so that we aren't embarrassed as the Great Republic of the United States of America. And the Democrats are attempting to demolish them for it. It's a sick world, isn't it?
For it. So why do we get the feeling that maybe if a Democratic administration was adding a ballroom to the White House, John, to your point, so people don't have to be outside on grass, that we wouldn't hear one peep from Democrats right here who, again, it just seems like every day there's something to get outraged about. Yeah. And at some point, it's the party that cried wolf. People are just going to stop listening because how could you be outraged for so long about every little thing that this president does?
And isn't that the truth, huh? Outraged about every little thing this president does because you just have nothing to stand for. Gavin Newsom, Donald Trump doesn't want you to see this picture. Actually, Donald Trump doesn't give a living crap if you see this picture. He literally is destroying the White House. No, he's making it better. But, Gavin, I guess there's certain things you don't want people to see. Like, since you were elected governor, man, your homeless crisis has not gotten better, huh? Well, that's probably a graph you don't want many people seeing, huh? Not that you ever renovate your state capitol either, which is even more embarrassing for you. But you see, I think my favorite was this. Because the White House never lets anything go, do they? And they reminded everyone of truly what desecrating the White House looks like. They reminded everyone of the Bill Clinton scandal in 1998 with Monica Lewinsky. They reminded everyone in 2012 when the Muslim Brotherhood visited the White House. And in 2023, the all-famous Cocaine Gate. Not to be overshadowed, though, by the 2024 Biden-Harris administration. Well, the pictures that went down in infamy on the lawn of the White House. So as everyone wants to poke fun at President Trump, simply because they have nothing else to focus on. Remember, this is the man who's building a monument for presidents that will serve after him, so they can actually host people with elegance and class, sophistication, to make this great Republic of the United States of America appear as great as it deserves to be represented. I love you all. Can't thank you enough for being here today. I hope, if you like what I presented, you'll give me that subscribe. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.